So guys, it is 11:31 and it is the 18th of October. I was going to make this video, but then I didn't want to break my habit of making a journal entry every day. So we're making it. Sorry, I'm talking very quiet because everyone's sleeping and it's 11:32. So today we're going to be talking about how the Bible instructs us to go about achieving goals. So this lies in the book of Habakkuk, if I'm pronouncing that right. And basically what's going on here is Habakkuk's complaining about stuff and the Lord's answering him in like a very simple explanation. But today, while I was reading this verse, there was something. Sorry, that was weird noise, kind of scary. In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Jesus, protect me, no weapon formed against me shall prosper, amen. Alright, anyways. In the book of Habakkuk, right? There it says in the book of Habakkuk, write down the revelation and make it plain on tablets, right? So basically another translation of this is write the vision and make it plain. That's one, write the vision and make it plain. And the reason why this stood out to me is because my dad always talked to me about this verse. I said, okay, what does that mean? So here what's going on is Lord is saying, like, you want something, write it down. Like, write it down, make it plain to yourself. And what we can apply that to ourselves is write your goals down, what you want to achieve, write it down in a realistic way, and write your plan, right? And how you're going to execute that plan is the most important step. Then it says, in a verse under it, it says, it will certainly come and will not delay. Actually, sorry, this is the same verse, or no, different verse. So a verse below it says, it will certainly come and not delay. So I'm going to read it again. Write the revelation and make it plain. And then under it, it will certainly come and will not delay. What does that mean? Obviously, whatever you write down, whatever you're making plain to yourself, making it plain that you want that to happen, it's going to happen because you're going to take those steps to make it happen. And more on how the Bible tells us how to actually achieve our goals is more in the book of Proverbs. And I move to that right now. So first we know to write down what we want to do on paper. And we know in Proverbs 12, right, it talks about how diligent hands will rule, but laziness ends in slave labor. Diligent hands will rule, but laziness will end in slave labor. What does that mean? It's talking about, obviously, how when you put work in, and it's not something where just like work like you're doing a job and not putting in like effort. It's actually when you're putting in hard work and you're putting in your purpose into that kind of hard work, and you're making it worthwhile for yourself. It will basically, you'll be able to rule your life. Diligent hands will rule. So you're gonna rule your life, right? If you're, if let's say a good definition would be this, like opposite of lazy, right? So you're hardworking, you're purposeful, you're ambitious, you're all these things. You're gonna be able to rule your life, rule your mind, in all of the aspects that you do. But when you are lazy, right, what does that end in? It's gonna end in slave labor. So you're gonna be ended up doing things, jobs, working things, and that you don't want to do. And it might be hard work, and it might be things you don't want to do. But why you ended up in that place is because in the first place you didn't have those diligent hands. You weren't purposeful, you weren't ambitious, and that is therefore you deserved what happened to you, because as a result of your laziness and your lack of effort, you ended up in a bad position. Now, and here's another thing. This one is very, very important. All hard work brings profit, but mere talk leads only to poverty. And what does this mean? You can say all you want, right? You can say, I'm going to start a business, right? You can say, I'm going to get straight A's. You can tell yourself that you're going to do this one habit, you're going to start it every day, that you have a New Year's resolution. You can tell yourself that all you want and try to convince yourself that, right? But it says mere talk. So just if you're just talking, right, it's only going to lead to poverty because you're trying to convince yourself in your mind that you're doing these things. Good analogy is for racing, right? When you talk before a race and you don't mean what you say. So you're saying like, oh, I'm going to do this and that on the race, right? But you don't really mean what you say because you don't feel it. You're just trying to talk yourself into doing it, right? It's going to lead to a bad time because you don't really believe it, right? You're just talking, right? Talking to try and convince yourself, try and convince others that you're hardworking, right? And that's the thing. Lies. You want to avoid those lies because when you lie to yourself and when you lie to other people, the only place that it's going to bring you is one that's hurting yourself, right? When you lie, you hang around people that aren't as good influences with you, right? And they also are going to lie as well. Remember, a companion of the wise will become wise, but a companion of the fools will suffer harm. And that means that when we're doing something, right? Let's say I'm following what I just said. So I write the vision and make a plan, so I write it down. I know what I want to do. I have my plan now, right? I have the willingness to work hard. But if I don't work hard and I just talk, nothing's going to happen, obviously, right? So that means we need to do the things actually that we set out to do and write it down, we need to do the things that we wrote down, basically. And a little bit above this, so Proverbs 12, I think it's 11, says, but he who chases fantasy lacks judgment. Now, what does that mean? He who chases fantasy lacks judgment. Okay, so like, if you're chasing dreams, you're just, if you're like dreaming in your head, like, oh, if I had a new car, if I had a new house, chasing those things, right? You're chasing those fantasies that you're not going to work towards, that are just fantasies, they're not true. Then you lack judgment, you lack discernment. Because, right, a simple man believes anything, and a prudent man gives thought to his steps. So you want to be able to think about what you're doing. Like, literally, you need to think. This step, that step, every step in your way, you're writing it down, you're thinking about it, you're putting in the work. It sounds pretty simple, yes. But surprisingly, no one does this, not even me. So, the things that you write down, you actually need to achieve. So I'm kind of getting off topic with this video and I need to go to sleep, but a little summary again from how the Bible tells us to achieve our goals. Number 1, the book of Habakkuk says, write the vision, make a plan. You need to write down your goal, right? Make it very simple and don't have a lot of goals. If your goal is to do this time and this thing and that thing and this thing, if you have 100 lists of goals, guess what? None of them are going to happen. Maybe achieve one because you were so focused on having all these goals, right? And you were looking at, wow, I have so many goals. That's so cool. You're proud of yourself. What are you doing? You're just talking. You're just talking about how you have all these goals. You're going to achieve all these goals. No. Write down 3 goals that you have, major goals that you want to work towards. Write it down. Make them very simple, right? Maybe put a verse next to it. So put a verse associated with those goals and you keep those in mind and you repeat it every day to yourself. So you remember every day while you're working because you're working towards those most important 3 things. Then, right, you're going to make sure that when you talk to other people about those goals, right, you have the steps to actually progress. Meaning, most people, like, let's say you want to start something and something's going to go well because you're going to do this, right? And you start talking to other people about it and you're like, oh yeah, I'm going to do this and it's going to go so well and it's going to happen. Guess what? Most of the time it doesn't happen. Don't count your chickens before they haven't hatched. Don't start thinking something's going to happen just because you're saying it and it's not, unless you put in the work, and that's just obvious. So make sure the things you're telling other people, because human nature is you want to prove yourself to other people, which is why we do things like we go on social media to prove ourselves, to prove that we are living a good life, right? We want to present that to the world. And you're doing the same thing when you have good goals, things are ahead of you. You want to share that with everyone. Everyone likes to talk about themselves, yeah. But I encourage you, the Bible talks about this as well. Stay silent. If you've ever heard the quote, work in silence. Now's the time, because stay silent in your goals. Don't tell anyone about your goals. Keep it internal. Keep it in you. Keep it in your heart. Because when you keep it in your heart, right, and you don't tell other people, it's going to stay within you. When you start telling other people, you're going to kind of forget about it. It's just something that happens. Like, tell other people, then you start believing yourself that you're already achieving it, which you haven't not worked at all towards it. And instead, you could keep it in your heart. You could not tell anyone. You don't have to tell anyone. And you can achieve those goals. And then once you achieve those goals, then there's an effective way to celebrate it, which I'm going to cover later. But there's an effective way to celebrate those goals. And so, in order to achieve those goals, right, after you're not, make sure let's not talk, right? What that comes in, hard work. You need to work super hard, right? You need to be very skillful in your work, and you need to be very purposeful. You need to wake up every morning, and in the work that you're doing and the thing that you're working towards, you have that purpose in your mind. You're like, you know what? I want to attack that today. I'm going to do great that today. You know, you have that reason in your mind of why you're doing that thing. Because if you don't have that reason, and you're just kind of, imagine like your goal is to do good on this test, and you're just taking really bad notes, just kind of copying down information, guess what? Not only you're not going to get a bad grade on the test, right, but you're going to feel worse about yourself, because you're going to think that you studied. You're like, well, I studied. No, you didn't. When you take notes, this is something I heard the other day. When you take notes, take it because your future depends on it. Like, although, like, yes, if you didn't take that one page of notes, nothing would happen. But then again, you know, what if you didn't take that second page? If you have the same mindset, you're gonna end up nowhere. Every page matters. Every page in notes, right? Every second that you run to get better, you swim. Every second you swim at practice, every practice matters. Every time you brush your teeth, that matters. Everything has its place in the grand design. If you ever watched the Prince of Egypt movie, everything has its place in the grand design. Meaning, right, that every day counts. So don't stop counting the days and start making the days count. So, more to kind of end this off, I would say, after, right, you have put everything out and you're working hard towards it, you want to make sure, right, this is usually how it goes. I'm going to show you like a little sketch. So you're at ground zero, right? You're here, you're a little monkey, right? Then, let's say, this is like how the time scale goes, right? Then you set goals. You share with everyone, right? So now you feel up here. Then you don't achieve any of those goals. So now you're back down here. So you're like this, right? Then you realize, maybe I should have said what I meant to do. So now you're back up here. You're a little level up, right? Then you're like, okay, I'm going to do what I meant to do. Now you're going to do it. Now you're up here. You were down here. Now you're up here, right? Now you did what you needed to do for like 2 days, right? Then you're like, well, I've already done that. I'm ahead. So I have time. Right? You have time. And before you know it, you're behind again. Look. And now you're back to the start. And that's the cycle and the negative loop that you keep repeating yourself in. And you don't want to do that. What you want to do is this. You understand that you don't need many goals. Set your goals, right? Move up to the next level, understanding that these goals are achievable only if you put in the work, right? Then you put in the work, right? Then after putting in the work, you realize that if you stop one time putting in the work, right, then you will fall. And that is, I'm going to guarantee you that, because this is why. It's just how the human brain works. If you ever heard the analogy about if a rocket ship is going up, it doesn't just stop in the middle of the air. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't just take a break. You have to keep going because you're using your momentum. Momentum matters. So once you are up here and you start working towards your goals, don't stop. Don't stop for anything. Don't even stop for a day. Right? Don't take one break, right? Do it and use that momentum. Use that momentum. Now you're up here. Now you got to keep going. Don't stop. You're up here, right? And soon you're reaching your goals, right? And once you reach your goals, where do you go from there? Cover that in another video. But that's how the Bible tells us to reach our goals. Write down what you want to do. Mean what you say. Do what you say. So actually mean what you say and do what you say, right? And do it with intention, right? And don't quit. So that's the thing. And if you do that, I promise you, you will achieve your goals. And I know that the goals that I'm setting out to achieve, I will achieve only if I follow those things. If I don't follow those things and I fall off, then I will not achieve those goals, and I know that in my mind. So make sure, keep that in mind. When you're achieving goals, that's how the Bible tells us to achieve our goals, and that's the message I received from my Bible today. So I need to go to sleep, but good night. See you in the next one.